We are officially 1 week away from the state's evaluation on whether we'll roll back to phase 2 of reopening, where we are now and where we need to be to keep ourselves moving forward.
I've got about 5 positions I need filled right now. I'm having a hard time finding people to work day shifts Monday through Friday.
Plus, as the state starts to reopen, more places are hiring, but Spokane business owners are struggling to find people to apply. And a federal investigation into a local volleyball coach and why Homeland Security is looking for potential victims.
After some scattered showers with heavy downpours today, but only for some, we're dry for the rest of the week and now aiming for some of our warmest days of the year so far.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 11. I'm Mark Hanrahan. We start tonight with 3 things you need to know. A growing number of Americans skipping their second dose of the COVID vaccine. The CDC says through early April, nearly 8% did not return for their second shot. That is more than double what it was back in mid-February. The agency did expect the increase as eligibility expands. Health leaders are emphasizing you are not fully vaccinated until you get the second dose of either the Pfizer or the Moderna vaccine. Meantime, the Grant County Health District reporting 5 more of its residents have died from COVID-19. These deaths bring the total number of deaths in Grant County from COVID to 120. None of the deaths were associated with a long-term care facility. All 5 of the latest residents to pass away from COVID did have underlying conditions, putting them at higher risk, health officials said.
There is no question that we are now in a 4th wave of this disease.
As coronavirus cases continue to spike in Washington, so are hospitalizations. The Washington State Hospital Association says younger people are largely behind the uptick. Right now, 44 hospitals across Washington reported more than 600 hospitalizations. That is the most we have seen in months. The State Department of Health says about 40% of people hospitalized are between the ages of 40 and 59 years old. So what does the situation look like locally? 1 week from today, Governor Jay Inslee's office will reevaluate whether Spokane County must move back into phase 2 of the statewide reopening plan. KREM 2's Joshua Robinson investigates where we are now and where we need to improve to keep ourselves moving forward. Joshua.
Yeah, Mark, the last time we heard from Inslee, the numbers in Spokane County did not look good. 2 big factors for concern are our overall case numbers and our hospitalization. So we're going to start tonight with case numbers. According to Spokane Regional Health District, these orange bars you're looking at here represent 281 possible cases of COVID-19. Now, they haven't been assigned as COVID yet, but by the end of the week, these numbers could be much lower. But let's say they are all new cases. That would put our current 2-week average at just under 297 per 100,000 people. The cutoff is 200. Clearly, we are headed in the wrong direction in that regard. But we only need to hit one of these 2 categories to stay in phase 3. So now we're going to look at hospitalizations. The state only looks at the number over 1 week instead of 2, which means last week's numbers don't really matter. But instead, we can get a better look and a hint of where we're headed by looking at the overall trend. As you can see, some of our early numbers starting in that downward trend in the early numbers of the week, dropping fast. And the past 3 days reporting only 1 new hospitalization each day. So that looks like it's the better bet right now compared to overall cases. But where did this spike come from? We only have to look back to April 2nd through April 5th. During those 4 days, we saw the end of spring break. We saw the semifinals and finals of the NCAA tournament. We saw Easter Sunday, all events and holidays that brought more people together. Health experts across the country continue to say it takes 2 to 3 weeks to see the full impact of holidays or big social gatherings. Since then, as you can see, more than a quarter of all of our new local cases have come from people in their 20s, people in their 30s, and teenagers, making up the other 2 huge chunks of that pie. That's more than half of all new cases in April showing up in teenagers and younger adults. The good news is that 3-week time frame does end today, and that means hopefully case numbers will drop. Now, while we're still talking about young adults, there's another sign of optimism right now as we look to vaccine numbers. Just 11 days ago, Washington opened up vaccine eligibility to anyone 16 and older, and already the state reports more than 36% of people between the ages of 20 and 34 years old are at least partially vaccinated. Nearly 20% of that same age group are already fully vaccinated. So it's no sure thing whether or not we are moving back into phase 2, but there are plenty of good signs that we could stay in phase 3. And even if we do go backward, there's also plenty of optimism that it won't last long. In the newsroom, I'm Joshua Robinson.
Joshua, thank you. Fingers crossed for sure. Well, for almost 2 weeks now, those 16 years old and older have been able to get the vaccine in Washington, but many people have concerns about minors getting the vaccine. So this morning, multi-care doctor Gretchen LaSalle joined up with KREM to answer questions about teenagers getting the vaccine. And here's what she had to say about people why she says people don't have to worry about the vaccine impacting fertility.
The theory is that because the spike protein and a placental protein called syncytin 1 share a little tiny stretch of genetic material, that antibodies to the spike protein could also cause antibodies to the placenta. But this is exceedingly unlikely.
So if you'd like more information on vaccines in our area, just text the word vaccine to 509-448-2000 and we'll send a link directly to your phone. New tonight, a local volleyball coach under federal investigation for possible inappropriate sexual contact with children. Investigators say 59-year-old Sergio Donzetti, who is currently in federal custody, is a fugitive from Brazil with a prior conviction for child rape. Special agents with Homeland Security are looking into the possibility that he has victims here in the U.S. He worked for many local volleyball clubs from 2017 to this year, including Extreme Volleyball Club, LLC. Anyone with any information regarding Donzetti is encouraged to call that number right there at the bottom of your screen. The Salvation Army of Spokane has a lot of food donations and it needs to get those foods to families in need. They are looking for volunteers to help distribute food to families who need it. Families that are in need of food will receive several weeks of groceries from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. on weekdays. It'll be a first come, first served basis. The Salvation Army's goal is to help local families save their money for things like utilities or rent. To volunteer, by the way, visit makingspokanebetter.org. All right, switching gears to weather. Saw a little bit of everything today. Sunshine to a downpour of rain this afternoon. Meteorologist Thomas Patrick joining us from the Outdoor Weather Center tonight to talk about a really bright moon in the night sky. Thomas?
Yeah, it's one of those moons that's so bright that you could probably see some shadows if there's no streetlights around. And that is the supermoon tonight. It actually is directly behind our green screen, our Outdoor Weather Center. As for the graphic behind me, well, it is a full moon, but in its orbit around in its orbit around the Earth, it's actually slightly closer in that elliptical orbit. 7% bigger, 15% brighter. So to the keen eye observer, you will be able to notice something. It's also considered a pink moon. It won't actually look pink. That is just the nickname for the April full moon. That's actually what it looks like down on the Palouse. Big thanks to Darnell for this beautiful picture out there. If you have any other pics, make sure to send it our way. We love seeing those beautiful pictures. Thankfully, the skies cleared out so that we could see it because it was rather cloudy with those scattered showers, a few heavy downpours earlier this afternoon. Tomorrow, nothing of the sort. In fact, it should be mostly sunny out there with those temperatures getting easily into the mid 60s by the afternoon hours. So all in all, a very nice day for Tuesday afternoon, but gets much, much warmer later on in the week. Easily looking at not just 70s, but well into the 70s. I'll show you just how warm those temperatures will be for Thursday and Friday, all coming up in a few minutes.
Looking forward to that, Thomas. Thank you very much. And still to come tonight, the state legislature just banned Native American mascots. We'll hear from one North Central high school student who says now is exactly the right time to do that. Plus, later, as the state continues to open from coronavirus restrictions, more businesses are hiring. However, several business owners having a tough time filling those positions. We'll tell you why coming up later in the broadcast.